On this episode of Road Dirt, the Road Dirt crew rides and reviews the Honda Rebel 1100T Bagger. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Rob with Road Dirt, and this is the 2023 Honda Rebel 1100T Bagger version. Now, we had, about 2 years ago, we had their first edition of the Rebel 1100 with the DCT dual clutch transmission, and really found it quite surprising and quite functional. It worked really, really well. So we were excited to have the opportunity to have this kitted out for touring, this Bagger version of it that Honda has just come out with this year. We've actually had this one for a little over 2 months. They've given it to us for long term, which means it's probably one of the most ridden motorcycles that we've ever had, as far as the greatest number of our crew, the Road Dirt crew, that's ridden it. I mean, of course I've been riding it a lot. Phil has ridden it quite a bit. Ted and Dave came in from the West Coast and spent nearly a week riding this and a couple other bikes that we had. And Neil Bailey came down from Charlotte, North Carolina and spent a weekend with us, and he putted around on it for a couple of days as well. So it's gotten plenty of seat time by the Road Dirt crew and plenty of different varying opinions on it as well. And I mean, we all agree on some things. That DCT transmission is pretty trick, works really well, and it's customizable. And we also all agreed, even though we're varying sizes, I'm the littlest guy in the crew and Phil's the largest, but the rider triangle is a little bit odd with it. You would think with a cruiser like this that a little more pullback handlebars, a little bit lower foot pegs, but otherwise quite a remarkable motorcycle. So like I said, we've had it for a couple of months, and we're going to share some footage with you and some impressions from the other guys as we've been out on the road, as well as some of the specs and details on it as well. So here's our review.
Disengage the parking brake. Get it in the mode you want to be in. I like sport mode because of the power delivery. There we go. Now we're set. Engage drive. Alright, now we're ready to roll. If you want a paddle shift, you got to engage it on the white button right over here. It says A&M, and then your paddles are front and back on the left handlebar. This is what I prefer, especially on twisty, curvy roads, back and forth through the gears with it. My favorite mode. Here's some basic specs I've learned about the bike. It's a parallel twin, I want to say just shy of 1100 cc's, 6-gear automatic tranny. I think it makes about 85 something horsepower. It's got a chain drive, as you can tell. About a 60-inch wheelbase. I want to say 27 and a half seat height. Weighs a little over 500 pounds on a full tank. Speaking of which, tank I think is about 3.5, 3.6 something. We got nearly 50 miles per gallon with it, about 150 miles on a full tank. Not too shabby.
All right, easiest is the Honda Rebel 1100. It's so refined, it's got a great transmission. The power modes really make a difference. The Africa twin motor, they actually have given it a little bit of a cruiser-like lope, so you get a little emotional connection, which you usually don't get with Hondas because they're usually just like as polished as a refrigerator.
I actually had the opportunity to ride the Rebel 1100T on the tail of the Dragon and just put it in manual mode and paddle shifted up and down through the gears the whole time through that legendary road. Legendary moto journalist Neil Bailey drove in from Charlotte, North Carolina, spent a weekend with us, riding the Rebel 1100T through north central Georgia, historic towns like Watkinsville, Greensboro, and the legendary Madison, Georgia, the city too pretty to burn. Hey, we're in Madison, Georgia. Me and Neil Bailey and Phil Gauthier took a ride today. Yep, there's our man right there. That's right.
Is he our tour leader?
Yes, he has been the tour leader so far. So historic town. What are your thoughts and impressions on the Honda Rebel here?
I think it's like I said to Phil, like if I had a hierarchy of bikes I want to ride, cruisers would be at the bottom of that hierarchy because I'm definitely an adventure guy. I like naked standard sports bikes and vintage bikes. So with that in mind, it's actually quite a pleasant bike. It's interesting. I mean, 40 odd years of riding with a clutch. This clutchless shifting is interesting.
That DCT transmission is fascinating.
But it's very Honda.
Yeah.
Perfect fueling on and off the throttle.
Yeah.
When you're in the right environment, the gears shift so seamlessly. It just, for me, sometimes and maybe that's just because we're used to controlling the bike. It's giving me a gear that I might not take myself. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just maybe not what I want. But you can just flip over to paddle shifting if you don't like it.
Yeah.
So it just still feeling like, where's the clutch?
Yeah, I know. Trying to reach for it up there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's small for me. Like I feel a little bit cramped in there.
Yeah.
But definitely good road holding, great brakes, super smooth fuel injection. I mean, it's very Honda.
Definitely.
Honda's always very deceptive. They're always so nicely done. They seem understated, but they do everything really well.
They do. Function over form, for sure.
So great ride, beautiful back roads here in Georgia. We've just been in this historical city with our friend here who's a bit of a historian, so it's really kind of nice when you've got somebody who knows the history of the area.
I'm a little bit of a history nerd.
No, it's kind of nice. I mean, when you're in a town. So, it's just, I think today is the day that you buy the bike for. You're with your friends on similar motorcycles, riding in the country, having lunch in a beautiful historic town.
And just,
and meandering around and really enjoying
Meandering around on two wheels, that's right, which we're going to do a little bit more of. So there you have it, the 2023 Honda Rebel 1100T bagger with the automatic DCT transmission. It's quite a performer. Could be potentially a real game changer also in the motorcycling world because, you think about those of us that are on the road dirt crew, most of us grew up in the generation where you still learned how to clutch and shift, in an automobile or something. And nowadays, the last couple of generations, those cars and trucks have gone the way of the dodo, so to speak. And pretty much the only vehicles you can get nowadays that are still manual clutching and shifting are motorcycles. And as there's been a decline in recent decades really, of motorcycle riding, I think companies like Honda and others that are trying to find ways to reach riders and help extend motorcycling into the future, I think an automatic transmission on a motorcycle is long overdue. I mean, there's been brands over the years, really dating back to like the 1970s, early 80s, that have experimented with automatic transmissions, and centrifugal clutch kind of setups and things like that. But I think the time has come where maybe these become a bit more mainstream that the brands have. I mean, Honda's got it in the Rebel 1100T, they've got it in their Africa Twin, and really debuted the DCT transmission several years ago in their vaunted Goldwing. And it's a popular seller, not just with the transmission, that is popular not just with younger riders, but with the older riders that are kind of getting tired of yanking on a clutch constantly as we get older. And maybe it's an idea whose time has finally come. So we've been impressed with it. And we think you ought to give it a try also. Check out your nearest Honda dealership. You can get a test ride on one if they've got one in stock. And we'd love to know what you think about it. Leave us a comment. You can share it. Give us some of your thoughts on the motorcycle, on our review, and also if you get a chance to ride one, come back and check it out and let us know what you think. We'd like to know your opinion of it as well. Be sure to subscribe. We'd love to, and ring that bell. We'd love to be able to give you notifications about future content that we'll put out for the rest of this year. And find us on our main media site as well. We are at roaddirt.tv. That's our online magazine that all the Road Dirt crew all contributes articles and stories to. You can also find us on 3 social media channels. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of those are Road Dirt TV. We've got a Facebook group, interactive group with folks that dialogue and stuff a lot. That's Road Dirt Motorcycling out there on Facebook. We've got a podcast, a weekly podcast hosted by what used to be Anchor, is now called Spotify, and that is called simply Road Dirt. And speaking of Spotify, we've actually got a music playlist, about 25 hours worth of road music for when you're out on the road, and that is called Road Dirt Classics. A lot of old rock from the 60s, 70s, 80s, some 90s, even some current stuff on there. A little bit of everything for when you're out on 2 wheels and you got the earbuds plugged in. So, hey, until next time, this is Rob with Road Dirt. Ride life.
Thank you.